So most of you probably know who this gentleman right here is. This video has made its way around the internet the last few days. I've noticed several videos where people are showing what he's talking about, and it's mainly because of what he's talking about. But if you're not familiar with this gentleman, his name is Terrence Howard, amazing actor. But he's talking about some stuff here today that's probably going to open your eyes. And if you've been asleep like a lot of people are, it's going to be hard for you to wrap your head around. So let's check this out.
Hoping to get it out of their head, where when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things. When you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So.
Now, most of us have kind of watched in the news all this stuff going on with Puffy. It's been kind of quiet lately because he's in jail. But the point I'm trying to make is this stuff runs deep, y'all. The stuff he's talking about, and I wouldn't doubt that he's probably been blacklisted in Hollywood just because of the fact that he's coming out and he's talking about a lot of these deep, dark, secret sexual things that people just want to sweep under the rug and act like it's not happening. I mean, clearly, I'm not playing judge and jury. Clearly, Puffy's obviously into some nefarious stuff. Seriously. Like that old saying, if it's a duck, if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, there's some stuff going on. And you're going to hear him in a minute go in a little bit more detail as to what happened when Puffy invited him over to his house.
I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys
Justin
struggling
Bieber.
with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them.
So I hope everybody understands what he's talking about when he says giving up your man card. He's talking about homosexual sex or homosexual encounters. Those of you that don't know, I think it's pretty obvious, but I'm sure there's somebody that won't know what he means by saying giving up your man card. And a lot of these Hollywood elites, they do this kind of stuff. And even a lot of people in the music industry, especially those trying to get into the industry, I have heard and I've seen some stuff over the years that people that have worked in that industry, they make it pretty clear. There's a lot of people that aspire to be singers and songwriters and rappers and all this stuff. But unless you buy into the system and the garbage and you basically, and I hate to say this term, sell your soul to the devil, you're not going to get famous in the music industry, period.
And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal.
And what's sad is I guarantee you, and we all should know this, This has been going on since the music, and the movie industry started. And it's sad because you've heard the story after story after story. Everybody remembers the Harvey Weinstein stuff. All these women that were coming out talking about how he basically promised them roles and leads and stuff if they slept with him. This is the kind of stuff that's been going on. It's just been hidden. It's been swept under the rug, and you're starting to see more and more of this garbage get exposed.
And what we were brought in here as men, we produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Hey, did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication.
Wow.
Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing. And
it's crazy. A lot of people will go to the darkest depths to get those things that they want in life, thinking that they have no other way to get it. They will literally sell their soul to the highest bidder for money, for fame. And it's sad. And I'm glad, according to what he's saying, that he didn't go that route. Imagine how many people did that thought, if I let him do this, he's going to give me a record deal. He's going to put me on his video. It's just crazy to think what people will do for money and fame.
Lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit. Because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast. This is absolute. But listen, we've talked about it. We've had a lot of the guys on to talk about this stuff. Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe.
So when he said that he's doing the chitlin circuit, for those of you that may not know, back in the early days of this whole industry, a lot of black artists would not get the good venues, the Madison Square Gardens or the big ballrooms. They would have to go into these little dive bars and clubs and stuff until eventually somebody discovered them. That's just the way it was. So a lot of times it's almost like saying you got to crawl before you can walk. So I'm believing, because of him trying to come out and talk against this industry, that people aren't going to give him a lot of opportunities, especially in Hollywood, because he's speaking out on some of the nefarious stuff that they're doing. So what are your thoughts on this, yo? We've seen a lot in the last several years. Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. I can't even count how many numerous other directors and producers and people that we probably haven't even heard of, because this was going on years ago when it wasn't so out in the open. Recently with Puffy, we've heard, Jay-Z involved. And I guarantee you it goes even deeper. It kind of reminds me of this whole Epstein thing. The Epstein list and all the people that wanted to hang out with him and be on that island because of all the young girls that were being trafficked for sexual favors and things of that nature. It's sad, really, you know, the way the world is, how corrupt and evil the world is. But in reality, there's nothing new under the sun. This stuff has been going on since the beginning of time, and nothing is going to change until Jesus finally cracks the sky and wraps all this craziness up. This whole issue with Puffy is actually kind of interesting. I had never heard that. I didn't know that Puffy tried to sleep with him. And I don't think he would get on a podcast and would lie and say that this occurred if it didn't really occur. I don't believe that's who this gentleman is. I've seen enough of his stuff. Believe he's pretty genuine. And it's just sad, y'all. It's just crazy, the world that we live in. But anyway, make sure you like this video if you haven't done so already. Also subscribe to the channel. And like I always say, I love you guys, and I will check you on the next one. Later.